Spencer Horwitz drove in three, and the Pirates reminded everyone that playing spoiler is still playing with a purpose. Next on Locked On Pirates, we're going to talk all about it.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm your host, Gary Morgan. Today, we're breaking down a dramatic extra inning win over the Reds, which was just a fun ball game. Might shake up the NL playoff race. More importantly, we're going to talk about development. Patience, a word that I'm sure many of you absolutely hate, and why just okay players like Nick Gonzales and Jared Triolo might be closer to good enough than we think. I mean, let's really dive in a little bit. This game, though, first, it was just an entertaining ball game. All the implications aside, the Pirates hit pretty well. Both teams pitched really well. We had a marquee pitching matchup, Hunter Green versus Paul Skeens, and they both delivered, really. The Pirates did get to Hunter Green, scored a couple runs off of him. But Horwitz drove in Reynolds 3 times, including that clutch 11th inning double. Skeens was dominant in this game, 6 innings pitched, 7 Ks. No earned runs. Reds rallied late against the bullpen with a Marte inside the park home run that I have to assume O'Neal Cruz just got turned around. I've seen center fielders make that catch, but he didn't look like he had much of a chance of making it. In fact, he looked like he ended up hurting himself on the play. I'm surprised he stayed in. They ended up substituting him later for Jack Sawinski, who had a really nice hit himself later in this one. But, yeah, I don't know what he was thinking on that route to begin with. He really struggles with those balls right over his head. We saw him make a really nice play on that against the A's, and I guess you would hope that consistency comes where he's not just doing it once in a while. Sawinski and York, I thought looked really good in the extra innings. They both really helped. Lux tied it up. Horwitz sealed it again in the 11th. Just a great back and forth ball game. Santana and Moreta both are the ones that got touched up, and Johan Ramirez had one of his once in a while Johan Ramirez outings where he's just unbelievable. And everything's working. He had big strikeouts. I mean, stranded the bases loaded to finish the game. If I'm a Reds fan, I'm so frustrated. They fought back in this one and ended up just letting it slip away. They had every opportunity to win this game. Every loss matters right now for the Reds. This one could really haunt them. Pirates are playing loose, aggressive baseball. I mean, they don't have anything to play for except for keeping the Reds out of the playoffs, really. And it shows. It's a hate match, right? It is. Now Paul Skeens, I just want to talk a little bit about him because it is unfair that his record is going to be 10-10. I mean, he's definitely pitched better than that. I believe he'll still win the Cy Young. And I think he should. I often hear, man, I don't know why we've let our language become so ridiculous in this country, but listen, it's not criminal. It's not criminal that Paul Skeens has a poor record. Okay, it's just not. It's something that happens on occasion. I think Mitch Keller has pitched better than his record. I think that happens an awful lot. When you don't have a good offense, that's going to be the case. I mean, man, I grew up watching pitchers like Rick Russell, just give you everything they had and come out with a 12-10 record, and people would ooh and ah because, oh my God, how did he do that on the Pirates? I mean, it's the same kind of thing for Paul Skeens. And yes, he's had to be extra brilliant in order to even have an opportunity to win the Cy Young with the record being what it is. But I just don't think it's really deniable. I think he has done exactly what he would have to do to pull that off. The offense has been disappointing all year. But I mean, the offense is arguably, why they won this one. They kept coming back and they made the timely hits. And I mean, it's been a good series to watch. They've looked competitive. We've had some weird alignments with players. Starting to get to know Rafael Flores a little bit. I guess what I really want to just say is we are seeing a little bit more of a want to use these youngsters more often a little bit. Moving Nick York into more of a permanent second base look here while you have Gonzales playing short and Triolo at third, and they're alternating some things with first base. I think they're doing a pretty good job of working in a lot of those players there. And they've also seemed to make some pretty quick decisions. Like, kind of feels like there's not much of a purpose in Cam Devaney right now, doesn't it? Like, we're not even seeing pinch hitting opportunities for him or anything like that. They did give him a good long look. He certainly got opportunity, and I think that the way that they're lined up right now gives three guys who probably have a really good shot at being on this roster an opportunity right now to put that a little bit less in doubt with Nick York, Nick Gonzales, and Jared Triolo. So I get it what they're doing. It's just it feels pretty quick, right? And I think O'Neal Cruz it's almost getting to the point where even if he's not hurt, which they just said he's not, you almost want to shut him down just mentally. Like that slamming into the wall maybe gives you an excuse to get out of it, right? Like maybe you just go, hey, O'Neal, listen, bro. That elbow is looking like it's gonna be pretty sore for a minute, right? You might want to sit. He hit that 20 home run plateau. Maybe it's best for everybody involved for him to just step away and kind of refocus and re-energize himself towards baseball in general. And then does he want to be part of the problem, or does he want to be part of the solution here? For real. I mean, because there's an awful lot of things that you can blame on Ben Cherington and Bob Nutting, but you kind of can't blame O'Neal Cruz on them. I mean, O'Neal Cruz has a lot more talent than he's showing on a nightly basis. And I don't blame Ben Cherington for going into this season thinking that he was going to contribute more than he did. I certainly was of that opinion. I think most of you were too, if you're really honest. I think we all expected him to not only get a little better at center field, but to really take a step, right? So this is kind of a conversation I want to start having with you guys. In the next segment, we'll really start diving into it. And I want to understand how when you've got a player that just is as good as they're going to get, and that has to be okay. How do you balance the line for when you should stop being patient with a player? Something I want to start to discuss. We've got all these middle infielders, and they're all in different stages, and I think it gives us a good opportunity to have a conversation like this. How do we make these decisions? How do we think a smart team would? Let's not talk about what we're afraid of this team doing. Let's talk about what we think would be so all-fire brilliant, right? Let's do that. Let's take a quick break, though. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins,
you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Money, 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 everybody. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. I appreciate you being here, especially you everydayers. And I hope you can tell that I'm trying my best to keep the energy up as the week goes on here. These trips take it out of me. So I'm a little bit running out of steam, but I'm trying as hard as I can here to keep it up. So segment 2 here today is about really just trying to understand what you have and being okay with it continuing to creep along in the majors. You've got different guys in different stages of development on a baseball team at any given time. And I think we as fans have become very, very instant reaction to all this stuff. You see a guy play for 100 games or 200 games or whatever, 200 at bats, and you've decided forever this is this guy. Or somebody has already, in your estimation, gotten too many at bats, and there can't be any more time wasted on so and so, and you're done with them, and that's all that matters, and you're not going to see anything they do. I don't think a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates can afford to be that way. Okay, I feel that way about certain players like Ji-Hwan Bae, very good example of a guy I've seen enough of. Now, let me explain why I've seen enough of Ji-Hwan Bae, okay? I've seen enough of Ji-Hwan Bae because I know what he does well. He's fast. And I know what he's done well in the minors. He makes contact. And he gets a lot of balls to land in the outfield, and he takes full advantage of his speed down there. And he's a pretty good fielder. In the minors, he really is. He doesn't look nearly as lost in the outfield of Indianapolis as he does in the major leagues. Now, when he gets up to the major leagues, he looks like he's never bunted before, when he certainly has. He looks like contact. What's that? I want to swing for the fences, right? Well, he's super fast. Let's steal bases, right? Well, when he gets to the majors, all of a sudden he gets gun shy on stealing. He doesn't know how to read the pitchers anymore. Even like right-handers that are scouted to be traditionally poor at holding on runners with a slow old catcher with terrible pop time, Ji-Hwan Bae just isn't going to take off like he should, right? And so I guess for me, that's a guy I've seen enough of, not because I believe the skills aren't there. I think they are still. I just don't think that either we can give him whatever it is he needs to help get it to translate to the majors, or he's a guy that the moment's just always going to be too big for. So that's where I'm kind of done with him. A guy like Alexander Canario, I probably wouldn't be done with him if he had options. Okay, like if he was a guy that I felt like I could stash in the minors and I wasn't forced to just keep him on my roster because he doesn't have any, I would probably be a lot more open to him. I guess in a way I kind of am open to him as just a bench bat, because if you're going to be a guy that barely ever plays, it almost doesn't matter who you are. Why would I fully endorse you going out and paying $5-6 million for a guy like that? No, $5-6 million for a team like this, guess what they're going to do with them? They're going to shove them out in the outfield like they have Tommy Pham the vast majority of this season, who, by the way, as miraculous of a turnaround as his season has been, he's all the way back down to 240, right? He's won for like his last 36 or something. Yeah, I mean, he's turned back into a pumpkin, as expected, right? So maybe we can stop the narrative that he's good enough to consider bringing back too. Nick Gonzales and Jared Triolo are very similar players. They're entering very similar periods of time in their development. Jared Triolo has already won a Gold Glove. He's already shown that he can play. I would call it above average to borderline Gold Glove defense at about 4 different positions. And I bet you could stretch that to 5 really easily if they even invested half of a week in figuring out if he could play the outfield, because I'm pretty sure he could. And I've seen him do it. I truthfully believe that's a guy that truly you could put anywhere. I think he's shown enough to show that he's going to have a roster spot next year. Now, a lot of you are going to be like upset with that because you're going to act like I'm settling, or the Pirates are settling, or they're just, oh, yeah, of course, Jared Triolo is good enough. Well, yeah, I mean, no, but that doesn't mean that right now he's not good. I mean, he has hit well as we've gone down the stretch here. And I'm in no way handing the kid a starting job or something. But I can say that what he's doing right now, and the vast majority of the body of work, if you just look at his cumulative numbers in the majors, defensively, you can't deny that kid is a major league talent at 4 or 5 spots. And offensively, you have to say that he's at least MLB average when he's good. It hasn't been consistent enough, but he's shown you very recently when he's good, he's at least MLB average. I'd like to see the OPS go up. That's probably the next thing for him. He needs to add either more power, which I think he's done better with the doubles. Really, he needs to draw a few more walks if he's not going to hit more home runs. That's all. Otherwise, he's always going to be a BABIP monster. Nick Gonzales, I think, work in progress too. Yeah, they're shuffling him around positionally, but I think you need to see a little more power come out of him next year. You know, I think he's done well to add back in some of the contact skills. One of the big bugaboos with Nick Gonzales a couple years ago that a lot of people conveniently forget about was that he struck out way too much. It was something like 33% at one point in the minors, and people were very worried about it. In fact, a lot of people cited it as a big reason why he didn't get a call up sooner. And he's worked hard to get rid of that. He has worked hard to turn into a good 2-strike hitter. I think he's done really well with it. Honestly, he has nothing to be ashamed of for this season, especially for getting injured and like kind of having to come cold back from that and jump right back into a major league season to kind of finish where he's going to finish in that 270 range. It's impressive. I'm impressed by what he's done. I think he's taken a step this year. I think as a defender, I think he really came into his own at second base. He's gotten really good at turning the double plays. Shortstop in an emergency situation, I don't mind. Or if you're doing it, you're sacrificing defense a little bit to get Nick York's bat in this lineup, then I'll accept that as well. But I think Nick Gonzales has proven this is a major league player. I think Nick York looks the part. I think the power's there. I think the doubles power is there for sure. He's got a flair for the moment. He does seem to have that knack for getting that big hit or making that contact or hitting the ball in the right direction. He's got the baseball acumen. I question a few of his base running decisions, but we've rostered Alexander Canario all season, have we not? Right? Point of this is development really doesn't ever end. Even if you have decided what Jared Triolo was 3 years ago, and at the end of the day, you're right. Yay. What do you win? A cookie? I mean, like, this is the point of watching a baseball team develop. Some of these guys will get good in 3 years. Some of them will never be good enough. Some of them will take that next step, and some will be phenoms when they get here. It's different for everybody. But if you continually flush guys without really fully working through that entire process and making sure that you've actually taken the time to see what happens at this level and push them at certain things at this level and see if they can add on building blocks to what they've already started to build. That's the next step. I love talking about this middle infield. I think it's so apparent with those three guys in particular because they're in such similar stages with different things to work on. Like Jared Triolo at this point, they take the glove as a given. He's got to add more power. He has done great towards the end of the season here, but the way he's turning on balls right now, he can't lose that again. That's something that always happened with Brian Hayes. He would figure that aspect out of things too and then come back the next season and somehow lose it. Jared Triolo's got to keep that. The full rotation on his swing looks so much better right now. Nick Gonzales has got to figure out how to strike a balance between shortening up and sacrificing the ability to hit home runs. And I think for him, it's going to come down to finding a way to be a little more selective about what he does swing at immediately. He loves to get off a swing on the first pitch or two, and pitchers have realized it, so they're coming at him with a ball now, because they want him to hit that thing into the ground or miss it, and he's more than happy to do it. So he's got to fight back and change his approach a little bit. Nick York, I think he just needs to play. I think he just needs to play more. He needs to play more, and then we'll see how the power starts to play as he continues. I think opposite field power is going to come first for him. Opposite field gap power down the line. But that's a player that I like where he can play. Flores is another one I'm really interested in seeing. It's a young bat coming. Spencer Horwitz, great night, and he's continuing to beef it up, right? I think the power is really going to come through next year. You're looking at like a 15-homer guy, and you're starting to get good enough. You add Flores into that mix. Now your first baseman mix can produce 20, 25 home runs maybe. So some things start to flesh out. And then you get Nick York and Nick Gonzales in that lineup together. It could be a lot of fun if you're willing to deal with it. I mean, I'm willing to watch it because I love this aspect of baseball. As annoying as it is that they don't spend money, I do like this stuff. You don't get better without going through good. And sometimes good is the hardest part to recognize because it's not flashy. It's foundational. You have to have a major league player before you can start worrying about whether he's going to be a Hall of Famer or an All-Star. Let's get to the point where we have 26 All-Stars or 26 honest-to-God major league regular players before we start tossing out guys who aren't immediately apparent All-Stars. You got to have major league regulars first. And we're just a couple years away from maybe having 12 to 15 of those on a 26-man roster. So, we are improving a little bit, even under this GM. When we come back, I want to talk about a wonderful AMA question that came in, and it's a hard one to answer. No way around it either. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra, Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet Go Long comes in. It isn't just another ED pill, it's a total game changer for confidence.
The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, Rugiet. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know we sent you. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. So today's AMA question is a can of worms, but I'm sorry, I'm going to go there. If baseball shuts down in 2027, will fans come back? If they institute a salary cap, will Bob Nutting sell because he doesn't want to spend to the salary floor? This was the same person that asked this question. The second question that you asked in that series tells me that you don't necessarily understand fundamentally how a salary cap system operates. No, Bob Nutting would not care about hitting any salary floor in a salary cap system. He wouldn't cringe. He wouldn't care. He wouldn't be sad. He wouldn't be upset. He wouldn't. Because in a salary cap system, the revenue sharing provides basically a self-contained ecosystem where everybody can afford the minimum because it's part of the ecosystem. And nobody can spend a drastic amount more than anyone because it's all a self-contained ecosystem. You know, that it doesn't prevent people from making money, but it prevents people from spending far differently than each other. That's all. It doesn't work the way you think. It wouldn't cause him to sell unless the value of his team skyrocketed to the point where he had a really hard time saying no. And a salary cap could do something like that. Do I think that fans will come back? Well, you're going to certainly read and hear, you know, the sky is falling. It's typical. I mean, both sides are going to paint that. Whoever is the one that actually triggers this thing, if it's a lockout, like meaning the owners prompt it, then, you know, the players will say, you know, oh, this isn't fair to the fans. The fans won't come back and it won't be our fault. Blame them. Don't blame us. Blame those nasty, greedy owners, right? You'll hear those stories. Then if the players go on strike, well, you'll hear probably those nasty, greedy owners, and, you know, you'll hear some greedy players mixed in there too. Listen, fans are going to come back when they come back, if they come back. It's a very personal choice. I have friends who legitimately haven't come back from 1994. That strike where they lost the World Series. And there's a couple people I think that used to follow the Expos that actually follow this show now that I talk to on YouTube every once in a while. I'm sure it was very difficult for you to return from 1994, you know, for other reasons. Yeah, I mean, the steroid thing kind of helped pull people back. I don't think that in 1994 I necessarily knew how bad or how deep the chasm was going to go financially in the game. Now that I do, you know, I guess in hindsight, I should have been more upset in 1994. It was a definitive, there's a definitive cause and effect to that year and that failed attempt to get a salary cap instituted that has led to the
close to 40 years of futility that the Pittsburgh Pirates have had. You know, as much as you want to blame Bob Nutting, he's a bad owner, but he's just compounding a problem that would exist no matter who owned the team. In Pittsburgh, I think if the system is fixed, yeah, I think fans probably would come back. If you think about it, there would have to be an immediate infusion of talent here because the Pirates would have some doing to get to whatever the new salary floor would be. So, I mean, there would definitely be some work that would have to take place here to do some things. So the Pirates fans would probably be treated to a few things they've never seen, like being competitive, spending competitively. You know, I think it would be easier in a market like this. Might be harder in a market like LA or where they're used to kind of being able to do whatever they want with impunity. That said, the LA market has 3 or 4, or they've had 5 at some times. NFL teams in and out of there, and hockey teams, they're very familiar with salary cap life. They'll come back to reality. They know that what's going on isn't fair. They look at these other leagues and know, and so do these owners. That's why I think that this fight's very real. And they don't say that stuff lightly. And to see it coming out as often as I do, yeah, in some ways, guys, I think we probably are on a little bit of a sundial. I think 2026, they need to invest, if only because we very well could be looking at a shutdown in some way, shape, or form. Whether you come back or not, though, that's your choice. I mean, I've come back from it before. I'm sure that a lot of you have. It's an individual choice. I'm interested to hear what you say. Tell me. Would you come back if you lost the game in 2027? Is it dependent on whether it's truly fixed or not? I'll be blunt. That's how you could lose me. If you come back with a half-ass fix, like some kind of soft floor and slight tightening of that luxury tax, or that, I'm sorry, that isn't going to be good enough for me, especially if I had to lose any volume of baseball. You come back with something like that and I didn't miss any baseball, okay, I'll just admit you're a wuss and couldn't get the job done again. And then I'll wait for the next time that the CBA comes up and hope that that's the time that you finally fix the league. But listen, from Horwitz clutch bat to the slow burn of player development, the Pirates are showing us that progress isn't always loud, but it's happening. Whether we're talking playoff spoilers or long-term growth, patience isn't just a virtue, it is a strategy, even if you don't like who's implementing it. Let's go Bucks.